Holy moly, what is up, peeps? Hope we're all doing well. Welcome back to more CS news. It is steadily becoming more apparent to some people, not to everyone. I'm curious if you guys agree with this or not, that M0nesy might not be staying with G2 long term. Ever since the Falcons finally finalized their roster with Nico and M0nesy was not a part of that, G2, I believe one of the co-founders, we talked about him saying, hey, the price is too high right now. We're going to retain M0nesy at least for the first half of 2025, and he is not for sale. With largely people believing out there that sometime later in 2025, M0nesy's contract will eventually be up. And now, thanks to Overdrive, an interview he did with HLTV, it will be linked down below. It's a lengthy interview at that, where he talks about M0nesy and maybe where he wants to go in the future and what G2 could be deciding to do. And for me, when I read this, I don't know about y'all, I was like, it's a ticking time bomb of when M0nesy is either going to re-sign with G2 for millions, which he's already being paid. I don't see that being a thing. Or he's going to go elsewhere and G2 are going to charge a large fee, and it's only a matter of time of who and when that team is going to happen. That's what I feel like in my bones. What do you guys think? But here's what Overdrive had to say. As he was asked, another big question mark is M0nesy's future. There is this widespread understanding that his future is in the Falcons, but do you think there are other options? Overdrive says, I don't think he'll join the Falcons. G2 will want to sell him as his contract is expiring at the end of the year, and if he just plays until the end of the contract, it will be a huge loss by the management. It is obvious that they will be pushing him to other teams and asking for a big buyout during the summer, which it's obvious that they will be pushing him to other teams and asking for a big buyout. So what are the teams going to pull the trigger? It can be Falcons, but it can be FaZe as well. For example, Brokey is playing very poorly in FaZe, so M0nesy will have this option. But as far as I know, Ilya, that being M0nesy, wants to speak his native language, and that time has come for him. Therefore, he'll be looking for interesting options in the CIS region. But again, what do we have? Because Icy is playing well in VP, in Spirit, Sheer was last year's top 5, and nothing points to such a move now. And everything else in the CIS is much lower. It's clear that M0nesy won't be left without a team. There will be a line for a sniper like him, so I don't know. And I'm like, what a low-key bombshell that, like, it is not going to be Falcons, according to Overdrive, but it can't really be anywhere else that he would fit in the CIS region. And according to Overdrive, he wants to speak some more native. You know, he wants to go back to CIS, which is, I would say, a bit sad. I think I'm more of a fan of the international lineups. I'm a huge fan of G2 and, of course, North American lineups, and I didn't see any mention of North America in there. Which is kind of, are you telling me no North American team can afford M0nesy right now? Like, is that not financially viable? But I thought that was a sleeper of an interview and a crazy, crazy talking point. And I just feel like, especially where G2's at, they're not doing, you know, I would say shockingly well throughout this year. A lot of teams are kind of on the struggle bus trying to pick things up as we approach all these continuously going on events. So where will M0nesy end up? And it seems like it's going to be anywhere but G2. That's the vibe I got. What do you guys think? And speaking of other teams out there that are much more of a struggle bus than I would say G2, you have Astralis, who showed up a little bit at Blast Bounty. You can only take so much away from the 2 series they had, one of which was a closer 2-0 against Na'Vi, where Na'Vi won, but they also took down Wildcard. It was at that performance you were like, okay, maybe Astralis is shaking things up a little bit. It was this past week, though. They have unfortunately failed to qualify for yet another event, this time being IEM Dallas, as we now have all of our finalized teams for IEM Dallas. Of course, Cluj-Napoca currently ongoing, and Astralis is trying to qualify for all these events at the same time, and they've had a wishy-washy year, like a real back-and-forth year. I was going to play you guys some highlights between the two Danes, and I mean organizations now because of where Heroic is gone, but there were no highlights, okay? I mean, Astralis is now trash-talking themselves on Twitter after they finished up their 0-2 loss to Heroic because it was like 5 rounds total. I mean, Device didn't even break double-digit kills. That's how bad the series was.
For those of you that want to know what we're all about, it's like this, yo. This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, and 100% reason to remember the name. Fort Minor.
And this is a newly formed Heroic, by the way. And at one point, this Astralis roster, early on, it was at Katowice play-ins. They take down a Pain Gaming, who has now since kind of gotten their revenge, but a Pain Gaming who is looking incredible. The back and forth of this Astralis roster, and I am so confused. On paper, and you look at these guys, you take it back a few years, it's an insane roster, and I had high hopes for them, but it just seems like they're back and forth, and let's add a new jersey to the lineup, even though our last jerseys were some of the coolest kits in esports history, by the way. They also changed that up, and I'm like, why? What is going on in Astralis camp? So I don't know, man. A lot is going down right now in CS, and there's so many qualifiers and tournaments going on. It's like hard to keep track. You got most of your teams over at Cluj-Napoca, except for 5 or 6 of your top teams. They're not there. They're doing other things. So it's so hard to keep eyes on everything. And well, someone out there who has a bit more free time currently, that being Yekindar, now in his off season as we await what his future will be. And he actually had a little clip out there just kind of floating around about Team Liquid. He had mostly nice things to say, but then he had this little snippet where he was like, there was this one time in Liquid, though, we don't talk about that. And people are kind of just trying to stretch this and speculate as to what part of the Liquid roster when he was there is the part where he doesn't want to talk about. But obviously, I hope nothing but the best for Yekindar. Again, one of the nicest guys I've actually ever met in the CS scene, and so wherever he goes, I will be cheering for, just so you guys know. Also, one I'll be closely following and hopefully attending as well, IEM Dallas, and of course, we slowly approach the Austin Major. So those qualified teams, very, very good looking for me. I can't wait to do some interviews over there and some more coverage as, of course, we do approach slowly the Austin Major, which we also hope to be attending. If you guys have not been watching the channel, I know not all the videos get recommended. We did an interview with M0nesy, a great little interview for the press conference for the Austin Major, and same with Complexity CEO Jason Lake. All those videos are on this channel if you want to check them out. Until next time, though, enjoy your weekend. I'll be back here breaking down more Cluj-Napoca results sometime soon, but take care, drink up, okay, ta-ta.